Inside a makeshift tent in Gaza, the blue glow of a few laptop screens is the only light left. The journalists inside are starving. It's been days since their last meal, and some are fighting to stay conscious while they file their reports. In a few minutes, every person in this tent will be dead, killed in a single Israeli strike. Since October 2023, independent monitors have recorded the deaths of over 200 Palestinian media workers. This chart compares annual journalist fatalities across major 21st century conflicts. The 2023-2024 period in Gaza represents a statistical anomaly, surpassing the death toll of any other modern war. These numbers reflect a specific reality. With the borders sealed, the survival of these local reporters is the only thing keeping the world connected to the facts on the ground. This isolation is a policy. The Israeli government has blocked independent international media from entering the Gaza Strip since the start of the war. Foreign correspondents are generally only allowed in as embeds. They move in military convoys, stay with their armed escorts, and are often required to submit their footage to the IDF for review before they can publish it. These restrictions ensure that any international reporting is shaped and filtered through a military lens. Because the world's eyes are effectively blindfolded at the border, the task of documenting the war falls entirely on the Palestinians trapped inside. Information control also takes the form of physical wreckage, as the Israeli military targets the buildings and technology that allow Gaza to broadcast. The Palestinian Journalist Syndicate reports that at least 70 media facilities have been destroyed. These include news agencies, radio stations, and the schools where the next generation of reporters was being trained. High-rise offices like Al Ghafari Tower were hit by missiles, and AFP's server rooms were struck by tank fire, cutting the live video feeds that offered a rare look into a city under siege. For the surviving reporters, work has become an operational nightmare. Frequent internet blackouts and a lack of electricity force them to huddle in hospital shelters, using emergency generators just to upload a few seconds of footage. This destruction creates a structural silence. When the transmitters and servers are gone, even the most dedicated journalists lose their voice. Those who continue to report face a second threat, being detained or forcibly disappeared by the military. Reporters in clearly marked press gear have been arrested without warrants and held for months without being charged with a crime. This is the testimony of Dia Al-Khalut, a correspondent who was held for 33 days. He describes being forced to kneel on asphalt for nearly 20 hours a day, denied medical care. He reports being subjected to Shabeh, a stress position where hands are bound and forced into painful postures for 6 hours at a time. These detentions serve a clear purpose: to remove reporters from the field and terrorize those who remain into abandoning their work. While the IDF labels these deaths as accidental or claims the victims were terrorists, the Committee to Protect Journalists has verified at least 32 cases of direct, deliberate murder. The case of Ibrahim Muharib shows how marked press members are targeted while actively working. Witnesses say Muharib was wearing a blue press vest when an advancing tank opened fire on him. His colleagues tried to pull him to safety, but the tank kept firing, forcing them to leave him to bleed to death on the street. Others, like 23-year-old Hosam Shabat, were killed by precision drone strikes. Shabat had spent months documenting starvation and the destruction of hospitals before his car was targeted and destroyed. Survivors are now forced to operate in the middle of these targeted attacks, standing in the ruins of their colleagues' equipment to document the next strike. Precision weapons like drones and tanks allow for specific choices. When these weapons find journalists in marked vests again and again, it suggests the blackout of information is the actual military objective. The violence has forced veteran reporters like Wael Al-Dahdouh to flee. Dahdouh only left Gaza after Israeli strikes killed his wife, his children, his grandchild, and his eldest son, who is also a journalist. It has also silenced young voices like 25-year-old Fatma Hassouna. Her award-winning films documented the impact of forced displacement on children before she was killed by the military. The silencing of these specific voices carries a consequence that affects every person watching from the outside. By eradicating local journalists looking out, while blocking the world from looking in, the military creates a total informational void. The public is left blind. This environment doesn't just threaten press freedom, it dismantles our collective access to reality. When the witnesses are eliminated, the truth of the conflict dies with them.